Did we just see the debut of the NBA champions?
No, we saw the debut of Kevin Durant, who looked absolutely unbelievable, like we thought he would, like we knew he would, considering he's a guy that doesn't need to dominate the basketball in order to be extremely efficient. And that's what he was. You can tell, even after almost 7 weeks of being absent, that jumper was not in the rain. It was rust-free. And he came in and he looked like Kevin Durant. But you want me to sit here and say that after one game, that this is the NBA champ? They beat the Hornets without their best player. And so I'm supposed to deduce that from that. I can't.
With a guy who'd been out for a month.
Yes.
Who's playing his first game ever with a whole new group of teammates.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a firm believer that two things can be true. Kevin Durant looked unbelievable. Devin Booker looked unbelievable. DeAndre Ayton was dominant. They played the Hornets without LaMelo Ball, who's their best player.
Yep.
And so you want me to be able to deduce because Kevin Durant played with the Suns, debuted and played extremely well in 27 minutes, had 23 points on 15 shots, 10 of 15, 2 of 4 from the three, 1 of 1 from the free throw line, plus 13. And I'm supposed to be able to deduce all of that, what you want me to do. Project all the way out after beating the Hornets. No, I can't do that, Skip Bayless. I am not going to do that. But I will say this. Kevin Durant's going to fit in with anyone, Skip, because he's not ball dominant. So he can run around and come off a pick. They can give him the ball at the block, and he can just rise up and like we saw him do a couple of times last night.
Yep.
So he's going to where wouldn't Kevin Durant fit in at?
Good question.
So with that being said, Skip, but I'm not willing to jump to the conclusion that you're trying to get me to go to, even though
I'm not trying to get you going. You can go wherever you want to go.
No.
Okay, big no?
No.
What did you see? What do you feel? What does your gut tell you? What does your eye test tell you about that team with 19 games left in this regular season?
I look at it like this, Skip. There's really no prohibitive favor. There's not a team that was like the 17, 18, 19 Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant and Steph Curry.
Yep.
Now, can they beat anybody? Yes, absolutely, because you got two outstanding offensive players. Now, if you tell me DeAndre Ayton is going to play like this throughout the entirety of the playoffs, I say, Skip, it's going to be hard for somebody to beat those guys because they got it that's extremely efficient in Kevin Durant that can go get a shot anytime he want to. He's the one guy, Skip, that you can say, okay, go get me a bucket, KD. How you need it? You want me down on the block, or you want me to get the mid-range, or you want me to pull up from three? But because there's no dominant team, could they win it all? Absolutely. But could the Celtics win it all? Absolutely. What about Milwaukee? Absolutely. So with that being said, I'm not willing to say, I'm not going to put them to the front of the line. Even though they have Kevin Durant, and although he looked extremely, extremely well last night, I'm not moving them to the front of the line.
Okay. After one game against Charlotte, I'm going to move them to the front of the line in the Western Conference. I'm going to move them past your MVP, Jokic, and the Denver Nuggets. I'm going to move them past Ja. We're going to speak about Ja here in just a few minutes.
Okay.
And the Memphis Grizzlies, who are playing at a supremely high level as we speak. I'm going to move them past a Sacramento team that I am falling deeper and deeper in love with every time I watch them because they're fun to watch and they have arrived. They have come of age right before your very eyes.
They get up and down. They're going to score a bunch of points on you now.
Which brings me to the current 4 seed in the West, the Phoenix Suns. All of a sudden, Kevin Durant walks in the door, and to your point, he's done this numerous times in his career. It looks like he just played last night. It looks like he was playing on a back-to-back as a 22-year-old. The jumper is rust-proof, as you just said. I don't know how he does it. He joined Golden State. He went to the first finals. I thought the pressure of the NBA world is on his slender shoulders, and he rose and shone in those first finals with Golden State, even though he joined a loaded team. He became the stars, and he was the MVP in back-to-back finals. He said he was nervous going into last night because he didn't want to let down his new teammates. And right out of the box, he did what I told you would start happening that first morning that the sun rose in Phoenix. We're at the Super Bowl on that first Thursday morning, and the trade bombshell had dropped that Kevin Durant was a Phoenix Sun. And by God, we were in Phoenix with a Phoenix crowd around us. And I said, gee, I opened the show by saying, I think the Phoenix Suns just won a championship. I wasn't sure at that point if it was this year's championship or next year's championship, but I am
willing to go this year.
Yeah, I'm willing to go that this is the team to beat this year. You made
in both conferences.
Yes, sir. And you made immediate great points on that Thursday morning. What about health? Because we got health everywhere. Health is going to tell the tale for everybody. It's going to tell the tale for your Lakers. And by the way, we're going to deal with them here in a few minutes. I'm not ruling them out of this thing yet because it's still... There's so many injuries, there's so many X factors up and down the board that it's still hard to predict, and it's hard to predict with these guys. It's big ifs. If they all stay healthy, is Kevin going to stay healthy?
Right.
He's been about as fragile as Anthony Davis has, right? We got Steph Curry X factor. Is he going to come back, and is he going to be Steph Curry or not? We can just keep on keeping on with all the teams and all the X factors. We got the Russell Westbrook X factor now with the Clippers. The point is that this guy is the easiest to play with superstar there has ever been, and it ain't even close. One time back in my days on First Take, I threw out this when he was playing with Russell Westbrook, and I said, Kevin Durant is a great complimentary star. Went crazy. He's not a compliment. Well, he was to Russ because they favored Russ. That's why Kevin finally left. But my point was, he was completely content to take a back seat to if Russ wanted to shoot 30 shots, he'd say, okay, it's basketball. If that works for the basketball team. Well, he was content last night. He took 15 shots. He made 10 out of 15, but isn't that par for his course?
Hell, I think 9 or 10 over with jumpers.
Okay, he just makes jump shots, and he was upset. He said, I missed 4 that I shouldn't have missed. Okay, well, that had been 14 out of 15. He made 2 of 4 3-point shots. He didn't get to the line very much, but and I know he's a 90% free throw shooter, and I think his defense is being underrated because he had a couple of big blocks last night that were significant in the game, albeit against Charlotte. But his first game thrown in, they got, again, 19 games left, just not a lot of games. And by the way, they face the 4th toughest finishing schedule because I'm looking down the schedule, and we got a lot of fire testing going on here because they're going to get thrown right into the fire as we go forward. They got to go at Chicago, at Dallas. Then let me get some big games. They got to play Sacramento. They got to go to Golden State. They got to play Milwaukee. They got to go to Oklahoma City, go to L.A. I'm not sure which one this is. I think this is the Clippers.
No, they got the Lakers. They got the Lakers in the next 2 weeks.
Okay, then they got the Lakers. My schedule doesn't say who the teams are, whether it's Lakers or Clippers. But they got to go to Sacramento. And they play Denver twice. My point is, there's a lot of tough games left. So we're just talking about Charlotte. I'm going to give you your big Charlotte point because they just played their easiest remaining game. They had 20 remaining when Kevin walked in the door last night, and now the 19 are all much to very much tougher than the one last night. But here's what impressed me the most. Kevin played higher minutes than I thought. I thought it might be like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I thought 25.
Yeah, okay, so he got to 27. Okay. And the game got a little tight. Oubre hit a 3 early in the 4th quarter. And I think it's, let's see, it's 10:44 left when Oubre hits a 3. So it cuts it to 6. And you say, well, Kevin doesn't want to lose his debut with the Phoenix Suns. So he goes back in the game at this point. And I'm going to show you what he proceeded to do in his next 4 shots, if I could see this. The first one comes with 10:49 left. And he goes up and gets knocked down and rips it and gets his lone free throw of the night and swishes that. Okay, so that's the 3-point. And then here he goes again. And this is a tough shot. It's like he's triple teamed over there, and he finds a little wedge and gets in, and then here he goes again.
That's a free throw line. That's a free throw.
If you let him get to the free throw line, he's going to make that shot. And here he goes again. And once you go up, Oubre is a pretty good defender. But like I always say about Kevin, once he gets to his spot and he launches, what are you going to do? He's shooting it up so high, 7 feet tall. There's nothing you can do.
Coach is like, hey.
You just hope he's having an off night.
You hope he misses.
Okay, so I just showed you he scored 9 straight points over a span of about 2.5 minutes. Well, that's sensational.
Yeah.
And remember, in Brooklyn, before he banged up his knee, he was putting up MVP caliber numbers. I'm not saying he was the MVP, but you look at the numbers and you say, that's pretty sensational. And I told you yesterday, his mid-range jump shooting numbers are off the charts. They're historical pace mid-range.
But Skip, did you need to see this year?
No.
He's always been great at mid-range game.
Okay. But the beauty is that he blends so easily. And I love the quote. I'm going to read it real quick from Devin Booker after the game. He said, this is one of those moments that doesn't really feel real. because he's looking at Kevin Durant in awe.
Yes.
He's Devin Booker, and Devin Booker's a really good basketball player.
Come on, think about it now. You playing Books in his prime, and all of a sudden, a guy, Kevin Durant, says, you know what? You wake up the next morning, and Kevin Durant got your uniform on.
He's got a Phoenix Suns jersey
Come on now.
I know. So Book goes on to say, I mean, it's just every time he shoots the ball, it's just so effortless. You can see defenders trying their hardest to contest or fight over a screen, and he just looks unbothered and unfazed. Well, he does.
He is, because he is.
Because he knows, as he said, do you know who I am?
Yes.
Well, yeah, you're Kevin Bleepin Durant, right? Okay,
yes.
so that's who you are. Okay, so in the big picture here, he'll blend in because he has little to no ego.
Right.
And I loved what he called Booker right after the game. He said he's a pure basketball player. Well, that's the highest compliment that Kevin can pay to any other star. Mm-hmm. He just wants, he just wants to hoop. He just wants to play basketball. Chris Paul just wants to hoop.
Yeah, he don't have to give you more than what he gave you last night.
I got it. I was just going to get to that. So my X factor with this team is Chris just over the hill? You know, he has not been shooting the ball well, and he goes 1 for 8, and it didn't matter last night, but it will matter in other games.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you now, Skip, like I said, if you tell me DeAndre Ayton is going to give you 16 and 16 a night, and Kevin's going to give you more than 23. He'll give you somewhere right between 28 and 32 a night. Book's going to do what Book does. But, Skip, I just don't know if Chris Paul can shoot the ball as poorly as he does. He's going to need to be a little bit more efficient. And like you said, he's struggled this year shooting the basketball between struggling shooting and struggling being on the court.
Yep.
With injury. His age, he's aging in dog years, Skip. He looked bad quick.
Yeah. He looks a little long in the tooth.
Yes.
He's always been sort of stoutly built, but he looks a touch heavy to me, like he's having a hard time getting around. Yet he still has high basketball IQ.
Absolutely.
And he got 11 assists last night because it's pretty easy to get 11 assists
if you got
with
Book
those
and
two
AD,
guys, right, at your fingertips.
And what makes it so easy for KD, Skip, is that he doesn't need the ball to like dribble the ball just to get to his spot. Somebody can set a pick for him. He can come off a pin down. There's so many different ways that he can get his shot off without even actually having the basketball in his hands. A lot of guys need the basketball, Skip. Let me get to my spot. Okay, let me back you down over here. That's not what he needs. He can take one dribble, boom, ball's gone.
It's usually 2 or 3 dribbles and he's up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, you see him block the ball. He blocked the shot on one end, Skip. He came down. They threw it to him on the 3, and just pulls up and rips it.
Okay. DeAndre Ayton isn't up against high-level competition last night, but he gets 16 and 16.
Yeah.
That will work. If you can get 15, 16 rebounds a night, that will work because that's what he can do because he's 7 feet tall. And then I look at the rest of the team. They start Okogie, he's a good defender, high-level defender who can score. He was averaging 18.5 points coming into this game. He only had 4. Well, he just didn't get a lot of shots, and he didn't make a shot. He was 0 for 4. But the point is, I look down the bench. Torrey Craig and Damian Lee, and Landale's pretty good, and Cam Payne is now back. T.J. Warren got added because he came over in the trade.
Right.
And remember, Terrence Ross came over as a buyout.
Right, yes,
and he's not healthy right now, but I've always liked him coming off the bench because he makes things happen.
Skip, you do in order to win, let's just say the guy, somebody's going to have to deal with Yoke. DeAndre Ayton's going to have to deal with Yoke. He's going to have to keep him quiet. And when I say quiet, he can't let him get 30 and 20 and 12 assists. Okay. He's going to have to keep him quiet. Okay, you play, let's just say for the sake of argument, you get Milwaukee coming out of the other side. You remember what Giannis did to DeAndre Ayton last time when he went head-to-head? They didn't build a wall like you suggested, and Chris Paul says, we might need to build a wall. And Monty says, nah, we got to go let and the man went 50 and whatever games.
He got destroyed. They got destroyed. It was a bad idea.
So he's going to be your X factor. Book and KD going to do what Book and KD does. But at some point in time, you're going to have to find somebody to shut down. If you play Boston, somebody's going to have to deal with JT and JB. Somebody's going to have to deal. If you play Milwaukee, you're going to have to deal with Giannis. You're going to have to deal with Holiday and Middleton. If he can get his footing back, that's going to be formidable. You believe you like a Philly to come out of there. Well, somebody's going to have to deal with Joel Embiid if they come out of the East.
Well, last night nobody had to deal with him because he didn't play, and I don't know if it was a back-to-back situation because they play at Dallas tonight.
Right.
Okay. But again, they got the X factor. But I do like their team because they showed you what they can do without him. But it was the classic case of a home and home against Miami. They didn't take Miami seriously the other night, and now Miami didn't take them seriously, and you saw what had gotten blown off at home. They got blown out.
Yes.
Okay. So I still love Philly. I respect Denver. All of a sudden, the Memphis Grizzlies are growing back on me because they're playing some supreme basketball right now on both ends because they will defend at a high level also. But the point is, there's only one Kevin Durant, and he's a Phoenix Sun. And Devin Booker, as you say, he's arrived as a, I don't know if I can go superstar, but I can go star.
Yes.
I can go star. And so if you pair them, and you have the expertise and savvy and experience of Chris Paul. Again, will he be a liability shooting the basketball? Because at some point he's going to get dared to shoot, and he's going to have to make some shots. Well, it was just 2 years ago he had the game of his life at what was then Staples Center and shot then my Clippers right out of the shot him right in the heart. Remember, I've never seen it. That was the best shooting night he's ever had.
The first 2 games against Milwaukee, Skip, he played unbelievable basketball. And then the last 4 down the stretch, he didn't play too well.
And in the last year, he did not play well.
First 2 games, and then was hit and miss. And then against the Mavericks, he was just a no-show.
He was a no-show. That was disastrous. So I give you all that, but I like the depth of this team. I'm a Monty Williams fan. All the pieces are now in place, and they love playing with each other, and that's the key. I don't think Kyrie and Luka love playing with each other, so that's a huge X factor in Dallas. Do I love Luka by himself and Kyrie by himself in vacuums? Yeah, I do, but they don't fit together. This is a perfect blend because, to your point, wherever he goes is a perfect blend. It's just who he is. I've never seen anything like it before.
And Skip Monty said he told KD he didn't need him to lead, just needed him to be himself. Well, that's music to KD's ears because all KD wants to do is hoop. He's made that abundantly clear. He's like, we got CP3, we have Book, those guys. Be KD. He like, for real? Say no more, fam.
Okay. Well, that's what he was when he got to Golden State. They were all set. The culture was made. It was there. Steph was the leader. Steve Kerr was kind of the co-leader of the team.
But it was hard for him to be that, even though he did not want to particularly lead, be out front in Brooklyn. It's kind of hard when it's just you and Kyrie. See, when you got Steph, when you got Draymond, when you got Clay, and you got Steve Kerr, that's already been there. Now everybody arrived basically at the same time, Skip. KD and Kyrie arrived at the same time. Somebody has to lead. Well, Kyrie's really never been a leader himself. So now you're asking someone that's never had to lead to try to be out front and lead, and you're asking a guy that doesn't want to be a leader. He's made it abundantly clear. Not to say that he can't, but that's not him. He wants to focus on other things, like playing basketball. I'm not giving no pep talks. I'm not giving no speeches. I'm not jumping down somebody down their throat to do what they're supposed to do. Them grown men. He's made that clear. That's how he wants to be.
I got it. Last point. End of last year, playoffs, first round, Brooklyn versus Boston. Speaking of no-shows, Kevin Durant got no-showed by Boston. He got taken completely out of 4 straight games. It was the worst he's ever played. He looked hapless and hopeless, but to me, he looked dispirited. He looked like he was playing half-hearted basketball because his heart was no longer in playing with a team that had been torn apart by Kyrie's decision not to get vaccinated. Okay, so I chalked it up at that point to Kyrie. My blame went a little more on Kyrie than on Kevin. But I told you at that point, I no longer am going to call him the best player on the planet. And I haven't called him that one time since because he's got to re-earn that label. Well, this year he was starting to do so in Brooklyn, and now we got to see. We got 19 fire test games left for the Phoenix Suns. I think he still has the potential to be the best player on this planet, and I think you do too. But he has to. It's time to reprove it.
Yeah, but there's other guys that like they've gotten so much steam and so built up so much goodwill and faith with Giannis and Jokic. It's gonna be hard, Skip. It's hard because Giannis. You see Giannis last night. He's playing. He's Giannis again. I guess he's geared up like, hey, man, let me go ahead and take this game to another level. And Jokic is Jokic. He's just, he's going to give you a triple-double. He's going to give you 25, 13, and 12 on a nightly basis.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Both of those teams are completely stabilized and in place, and they're deep. And and potent.
Yes.
Okay, so I give you all that.
Because Jamal Murray is now all of a sudden, he's starting to take his game to another level.
He's back.
And you see Holiday, he's starting to be more consistent. He's like, you know what, Middleton, you down. I'm going to be the number 2 for sure now. And he's taking his, you know what he is on the defensive end, Skip. He's that.
He's one of the best.
He's now the best two-way player in basketball.
Okay, well, you can make that
I
case.
mean, Giannis, but still, he's right there, Skip.
Okay.
He's right there.
Well, you might have the best two-way.
You got the great defender, big team.
All right, but only one team now has Kevin Durant. That's why I like the Suns.
You moved it to the front of the line.
In the West, I am, for sure.
Okay.
It's KD's 4th team in 7 years, guys, and he admits last night he was indeed a little nervous.
I can imagine.
I love it. He says he wants to be coachable. Who says that anymore in the NBA? It's fantastic, and I believe him. Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Subscribe here to get the very latest from Skip and Shannon. Plus, go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.